So, Star Wars, the movie that we have waited 2 years for, the conclusion to this trilogy. Before we get into it, again, I just want to mention that there will be spoilers. This is a spoiler alert. So if you have not seen the movie, this is not the podcast and or review for you. Just want to give everybody a heads up so we can't be blamed in the comments section. Alright. So let's take this scene by scene. The movie picks up. We get a nice little shot of Kylo spazzing out, per usual. Per usual. Going off on a village. It was very Anakin-esque. I feel like it kind of captured some of Anakin's rage as he was destroying those Tusken Raiders. You know, not just the men, but the women and the children too.
Here's the thing about that. Anakin was a teenager when he did that. Kylo Ren is an angsty adult. He's 30 years old.
Wait.
And
Kylo's 30?
Yeah, Kylo Ren is... Yeah, he's like 29 or 30. Because I was surprised when I found out too. He's an angsty adult. Anakin was a teenager, so that makes sense for him. The only thing that I could gather from that opening scene, for some reason it really gave me Pirates of the Caribbean 3 vibes. Maybe because like the ghost ships and like Palpatine kind of reminded me of Davy Jones or something.
Right.
But it just gave me Pirates 3 vibes. And I like Pirates 3, so that was cool and all, but I wasn't feeling it in this movie.
Yeah, okay, so the movie itself, let's just focus in on like the opening like 10 minutes or so. So, although I did not like Kylo Ren raging out as he's been doing for the past 3 movies, like we jump it off right away, or we find out the Emperor is alive.
Right.
Like, what? Like, there was always this ominous voice that was playing through the trailers. You see the Emperor, you hear the Emperor, you're like, okay, so how is this going to be connected? Only to find out that he is still alive.
Right.
How did he survive the blowing up of the Death Stars? Somebody explain this to me.
It's not like, that it just... The Death Star literally blew up. Assuming that he survived the explosion, how did he survive the whole, fall from space?
Who picked him up?
Who picked him up? How did he land on this planet that's, like, insinuated that it's in the Outer Rim?
Right. How did he get there? How is he still living on life support?
Right.
I have so many questions. Like, these are the questions that we need answered. Go ahead.
I think they had some line in the movie that was, in a way, hinting that he was a clone. But why were his fingers, messed up, and why did he was like, his eyes were whited out, as that's typically like the thing that they use to insinuate that somebody was brought back from the dead. They had the whited out eyes and everything. His fingers are messed up and everything. I don't understand why a clone would be like that. It's more. What would you say?
I think that was just basically him using the dark side of the Force to keep himself alive. Like, basically, his connection and will and hatred was just that strong that he was able to be left alive.
Right.
From everything.
But how do you survive the fall itself would have killed him, but the Death Star exploded.
You know what? There's a lot of things that happen in the Force that doesn't make sense. And that brings us perfectly into our next scene. We have Rey, who is training. And who is her master? Leia.
Yeah.
When did Leia become a Jedi Master?
So I'm glad they showed the scene of her training, because it makes a lot more sense in The Last Jedi about her whole, Force use thing. I'm glad they actually showed that she was trained. She just gave up on it. But Leia is not qualified, I guess is the right word, to, train somebody to be a Jedi at this point.
Yeah, because in the film, they even show that she never finished her training. So, because she saw like her son dying at the end of all this. So she stopped training. Like she didn't finish training. So all of a sudden she's training Rey, and all of a sudden she's just a Jedi Master, and we're just supposed to accept that.
Right.
I mean, I guess. I mean, that's not even the worst part of the movie. That's not the worst part of the movie. So, you know, after that, I guess she just has a problem with using somebody else's lightsaber because she keeps on giving it back, or she keeps on trying to throw it away. Yeah. So after she gives it back to Leia, they go on. I forget the planet that they go to. But she just. Yeah, I'm not gonna take time. I didn't remember that. But they go to a planet that's having some sort of festival. They're looking for a map to get to. You know the planet that Palpatine is on? Remember what it was called?
I don't remember what it was called. It was some random name. I don't. It started with a Z, I think, right?
It's something like that. Anyway, they're trying
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to get to where Palpatine is because there's some broadcast that says the Emperor's alive, so they're trying to stop the Emperor from doing whatever he's doing. So they go to this planet. They're trying to find at least a clue.
This map or holocron kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, they're trying to find that Luke was on the trail of, and Rey had all of his books and findings, so she knows somewhat where it is. So they go to this planet only to have another Rey and Kylo to have some kind of force connection, which is odd in itself, because I don't care what kind of force connection you have, you should not be able to snatch things through time and space.
You know, I was offended when I saw that. I was just like, now hold on a second. Like, that is like Andromeda said that. He's like, that is an OP ability that you can just, you know, snatch things through. You're just in a completely another space, and you're just snatching things through like the force.
Right, he snatched that necklace from around her neck and was able to analyze that and find out exactly where she was.
Right. Why isn't everybody doing this?
What kind of plot device is this?
Right. You know, like they could have found out exactly who Palpatine was in the prequels. That they have this ability. That this is just some new like bullcrap that they're just, you know, throwing in the movies.
Right, and that's not even the worst part. You see, I have a problem with what happens next. You know, they go through this whole little fight scene. You know, the First Order finds them. The Knights of Ren are there. Wait, side note. Kylo Ren with the broken helmet on.
Yeah.
I don't think that was needed whatsoever.
It wasn't. I think I feel that J.J. Abrams was kind of he didn't intend for Kylo Ren to break his helmet at this point, so he's just like, you know, we gotta fix this somehow. Right, and they
didn't even fix it right. You can still see the cracks. He could have got a whole new helmet, but no,
exactly make a new helmet.
He wanted the broken helmet.
How did he find all the pieces?
Thank you. See that I didn't get that part.
Yeah.
Man, it sounds like we're really trashing this movie. You know what? I really don't care. Anyway, so, you know, after they have the whole little fight with the First Order, like, they sink into this little sinkhole to where the loyalists to the Sith, where he died. He was on the planet. Right. He went through the sinkhole. He never made it out. So they find his corpse. They find the dagger that has a message on it written in Sith. So they find that, and that's when they're trying to figure out how to get out of there. But lo and behold, we have a snake. Not just any snake, a space snake who wants to kill everybody. And you know what Rey does? She taps into her inner crocodile hunter and she heals the snake. How does she know that snake was wounded?
Here's the thing. As I was watching that scene, there was no need for them not to kill it. She has a lightsaber.
Right, if it lunges at you, just hold out the lightsaber. Right. You're gonna slash it in half.
They could have been done. Like, I get that she know the whole like light side thing, that she wants to heal it and all that, but first of all, how did she know it was her? Second of all, like, why?
Right. No. She became Eliza Thornberry, and all of a sudden she could talk to animals, and she knew that she needed to heal that snake. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm nitpicking at this point, but I just had a huge problem with her healing the snake. PETA, do not come after me. I do love animals, but she did not need to heal that space snake.
That didn't, because they all had their like blasters aimed at it. She has a lightsaber. They could have been done with it. It could have been, they would have been done.
Not only that, she has the Force.
Right.
The literal Force. She could have Force choked it to the point where it was dead.
Right.
There's many different ways that snake could have went out.
Or actually they showed in the next scene she has Force lightning apparently, so she could have just used that.
No. But before we get into that, so she's basically just Force Jesus now. She can just heal people. But that's not.
Well, okay.
That's not the worst of it though.
I know you haven't seen The Mandalorian, so I'm not gonna or haven't got that far in it, so I'm not going to spoil it for you. But that's something that they introduced in that. So it's just the new episode just came out Tuesday with that in it, and they just used this in the movie. So I feel that that's kind of might have some kind of connection, or they might have planned that.
Right. Oh, okay. I'll give that a slight pass for now. It gets deeper.
Right.
So yeah, moving on to that next scene. They're trying to get off of that planet. They find a little cruiser that was used by the Sith loyalists, so they're trying to get that started. Rey goes out into the middle of the desert because she can sense Kylo is coming. Finn stupidly tells Chewbacca to go out and tell Rey to come on. It's time to go. And then Chewbacca ends up getting captured by the Knights of Ren and the First Order. So he's on one of those transports. So Rey sees this after slicing down Kylo's speeder with only her lightsaber after doing some kind of judo flip.
Yeah.
Over his fighter. And is force holding a whole ship. Now, in Return of the Jedi, Luke could not raise an X-Wing, but you expect me to believe that she can force hold a moving transport ship.
So, the only thing I could think about when I saw that scene is they made Starkiller Legends because he was too OP, because he could, pull down that Star Destroyer.
Right.
And I was just like, this is kind of a similar kind of scene, Why? How is this not OP?
I have no idea.
How come they made Starkiller Legends? Because he was solely for the purpose because he was so OP. But Rey can do stuff like this.
Not only
that's the only thing I could think of during that scene.
But she force lightning the whole transport, thinking that she killed Chewie.
Right.
I mean, later we find out.
And when I saw that scene, I was just like, are they really gonna give him this kind? And like you're saying, later you find out that he's alive, but it's just like, come on, bro.
Right. I was my jaw literally dropped in the theater. I was like, are they really going to kill off Chewbacca? No, and we completely grazed over the fact that Lando was just chilling on that planet somehow.
Right.
He was on that planet enough to help them to find the Sith loyalists or wherever he was at. So
it's called a plot device.
Yeah, shout out to Billy D. Williams, holding it down as Lando Calrissian. Anyway, we should have had Donald Glover. Anywho, so yeah, she just had completely force lightning the crap out of that joint. How does she use force lightning? You can't accidentally use the force. I don't believe that you can just accidentally use the force like that.
Here's the thing, dude. Every time they, show force lightning or talk about somebody, there's not a lot of, I won't say there's not a lot of Sith, but not every Sith can use, and this is Sith, can use force lightning. This is not just an ability that everybody can, use. Darth Vader couldn't use it because of his prosthetics. Darth Maul, as insane as he was with the dark side of the Force, I've never seen him use force lightning. This is just not something that you can just use on a spur of the moment because of your hatred. When I saw her getting upset, I expected her to crush the ship or something, but not force lightning the ship.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like she was about to crush it, but she ended up just using force lightning.
I guess because, later, later parts in the movie who her lineage is at this point, or her grandfather is at this point, maybe. But it's just like, still, that's not something that you can just do. People have to be trained to use Force lightning. That's not just something that anybody can just straight up go out there and do. Right.
And speaking of lineage, that is a perfect segue into going into our next scene of the movie. You see, they go onto the ship, the destroyer that's above in that atmosphere, because they need to go get that dagger. And somehow Rey senses that Chewie's alive. Like she senses his life force through the Force. So they go up into that destroyer. They land on it, and then single-handedly they go into that destroyer. They find Chewie. They free him, only for Rey to find out that she is a Palpatine.
Right.
That she's not a Skywalker. She's not who people will say is Obi-Wan's daughter. No,
she's a Palpatine.
She is Palpatine's granddaughter.
So when I saw that, I was just sitting there and I was just like, wait a minute, who did Palpatine knock up?
Right, he's been an old man. He has been an old man ever since he was introduced in the films.
Right. And like when I saw that, I just started thinking about it. I started doing the math. Because me and David talked about this after the movie, and we're just like, in order for Palpatine to have had a granddaughter who's 20, because Rey is 20 or 21 or something, this had to have happened after Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
Like, probably closer to, A New Hope, somewhere in between.
Right, as wrinkly and as decrepit as this old man was, you see,
this man was deformed.
Like he somehow managed to land a chick. It was probably some kind of Jedi mind trick. Not Jedi mind trick, but just
some Sith mind trick.
Some Force trick. He was like, you know what, you're going to conceive this child.
You are into me.
So they go through all that just for Rey to figure out that she is Palpatine's granddaughter. And then from this point, it pretty much spirals her down on going rogue. Like, she is determined to find Palpatine, to get her revenge, to find Palpatine. She also finds out that with that dagger that they have found on that one planet, that's the dagger that was used to kill her parents. Like her parents got killed with that dagger because they sold Rey into slavery, basically, just so she would not get picked up by Palpatine.
I feel there's better ways to, protect your daughter. They protected Luke by,
I know,
giving him to having him adopted.
His uncle Owen.
Yeah. And Leia got adopted by the Organas.
Right, she was just straight royalty. Even though Rey was sold as a slave. So shoot, I'm still trying to think about what happened next in the movie, because they went to that other planet with Poe's friend when he used to sell spice.
I think that was before, right? Because they went on the ship after that.
Yeah, it was before. It was before or after. I get it confused. That sequence of the movie isn't really important, but they pretty much said that Poe was a cocaine dealer. He was selling spice. He was selling that spice.
Spice. It's confirmed that spice is like Star Wars version of drugs.
Right, it's up there with those death sticks.
Yeah.
So and then there was like Poe's just weird love interest that he wanted to kiss, but then she was just not down for that.
And side note about that scene, because that's the thing where 3PO's memory was about to get wiped and all that. I remember seeing something online that was saying that the scene between Anakin and Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan beat Anakin on Mustafar, if that was Disney Star Wars, they would have thrown some kind of comedic relief in there that would have killed the scene. That's exactly what happened in this movie, because that new droid Dio, and I had to make a JoJo joke when I heard his name was Dio.
Right.
like that new droid Dio, like he's just sad at this point. Like 3PO was about to have like a moment that was gonna be somewhat sad, you know. He's getting his memory wiped. He was gonna remember his friends and all that, and they had to ruin it with some comedy. The comedy wasn't as bad in this movie, but they really did not have to throw that in to ruin that scene.
Right. No, they had comedy all throughout the movie, like in the most unnecessary of places. Like I feel like this movie sort of held a more serious tone. Right. But they kind of threw that away with all the jokes that they had pretty much laid throughout there.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I could look past all that because we're not here for the jokes. We're here for the actual story. And getting back to the story, you know, so after they free Chewie and all that, they go to where was the Death Star crashed down?
I don't remember what the planet was. It's that Sith planet.
Yeah, so they go down there, basically so they can find that map to wherever Palpatine's base of operation is. Because, side note, what we didn't mention is they need to find them so quickly is because Palpatine has a whole entire fleet of Star Destroyers that is bigger than anything in the whole entire galaxy, and each Star Destroyer is capable of destroying a planet. So
no, because each Star Destroyer is basically a Death Star on its own.
Yeah, so he had a lot of time to plan this. So they're running against the clock because that's the final order. The final order is ready to just annihilate anybody who stands in their way. Right. So they go to the planet. Rey is on a mission. She's pretty much going rogue at this point. She is ready to get this map and go find Palpatine. So she goes against everybody's orders, finds the map. But guess who pops up? Good old boy Kylo Ren. And so what does Kylo do? He starts fighting with Rey and crushes the map after she finds it. And this is where...
A side note about that scene.
Okay.
They never really explain that vision. I guess it's just a vision. But... for how much they hyped up in the trailer, it was a short scene. They didn't expound on it, you know? And on top of that, this is just like a personal thing, like, but so you're saying this.
Wait, say that again, you kind of cut out.
I said, I'm assuming that homegirl is Finn's new love interest at this point. But so they just, the two other black people in the universe just happen to find each other. They have a similar backstory, you know.
Man, I don't know because he was still down for. No, I guess Rose was still just down for him, even though like he showed her no attention in the movie, which was kind of funny.
They basically gave her like 3 lines, which I'm kind of glad about. I'm not gonna lie, because she was just an unnecessary character in episode 8.
Yeah, so, I got no comment on that. But yeah. So yeah,
it's just
good.
Yeah, go on.
Well, somebody's got to go. All right. So yeah, it was just that whole fight scene. It was pretty epic. I mean, Rey versus Kylo for like the 15,000th time. Right. So they go at it. Rey eventually.
I'm not gonna lie, that was a pretty decent duel.
No, it wasn't. No,
get a duel in
the choreography was terrible. The choreography was terrible. I don't care.
It was, but it wasn't. Considering we didn't get a duel in the last movie, it was all right.
Okay, I'll live with it.
Yeah.
But what I'm not gonna live with is how Rey is all of a sudden just force pushing around Finn, who is just trying to who is just trying to love her, protect her, do his thing. He getting force pushed around, and then it's bad enough that Carrie Fisher died in real life, but she gave her life to talk to Ben from across the galaxy,
right?
And then just so he can pause, so Rey can grab his own lightsaber and stab him, like in the stomach.
You had your lightsaber. Why didn't you just stab him with your own? Why did you have to grab his?
Right. And so she just pretty much ends this man's whole career.
Right.
And then plays Force Jesus again. and heals him. But not only did she heal that wound, she healed the freaking scar on his face.
Right.
I do not understand the purpose of this.
I was kind of like questioning that. I was just like, why? He's the main villain. Why would you do that? And because I leaned over to David, I was like, no, why would she do that? And he's just like, I guess they had no animosity towards each other, you know. So she just healed him, but she didn't. She just kind of did that in the spur of the moment, which I kind of get. But it's just like, come on now.
Right, and she does all that just to leave. So she leaves.
Right.
She goes off on her own once again, but takes Kylo's ship. But this time she's going to, I forget the names of these planets, but the planet where Luke was at. But
they have these like weird names.
Yeah. So before we jump to that, like basically, Han shows up in Kylo's memory, and he pretty much says every single line that he said in The Force Awakens right before he died. Yeah. And then Kylo throws his lightsaber. Like, that's all it took for him to say, you know what? I'm done being a Sith. He throws his lightsaber in the ocean. And then he's a good guy.
Okay. Yeah, about that scene, I was kind of like confused when it first happened, because I was just like, when Han Solo showed up, I was just like, wait a minute, is he Force ghosting? I was like, he's not Force sensitive, but I guess, you know, they said he was like in his memory at this point.
Right, so he was pretty much just a memory.
Right, and I was just, I feel that it would have been more impactful if he just kind of like remembered his voice, you know, instead of like actually having Harrison Ford be there, Han Solo be there. And on top of that, yeah, I guess it's the lightsaber that you killed him with, but did you really need to throw it away?
Right, like he was completely powerless, like he would have been. Like, so what was he planning on doing when he finally ran up and caught with Rey and Palpatine?
Right.
What was he planning on doing?
Right.
Like, he had no lightsaber.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
how are you gonna fight?
That's all it took for him to turn back into Ben Solo, was for him to throw his lightsaber in the ocean. So, after all that happens, you know, Rey's on the planet. She's where Luke is. She burns the freaking TIE destroyer for whatever reason, or the TIE fighter, my bad. And then she's about to throw the lightsaber in the fire. She just has a problem with holding on to lightsabers, but that's when that's when my boy Luke comes out as a Force ghost. He comes out and pretty much tells her, you know what? Yeah, we know you're a Palpatine. Everybody knew you were a Palpatine, but
we just didn't tell you.
It's like, yeah, but you're not really a bad guy, so you know you can be good. That's pretty much all he said. Like, she had no real reason to listen to what he said. If she was so dead set in ways, all he said was, yeah, you're more than just who you are.
So the only reason I'll give that scene credit is I feel that entire scene was put there simply to retcon episode 8. Because in episode 8, you know, they just made Luke just like this D-bag for some reason. And he basically, in this scene, he was saying, yeah, like, I was wrong in the last movie. I don't know why I was like that. And he was basically apologizing for that, you know, that entire way Luke was acting in the last movie. Right. So, the only reason I'll give that scene credit is because they basically retconned and fixed how Luke was in the last movie, which was one of my biggest problems with episode 8. So while the scene was kind of dumb, kind of stupid and all that, I will kind of give it credit, you know, for basically trying to fix what happened in the last movie.
Okay, I can give that a slight pass. So yeah, let's fast forward a little bit. So now we have before we get there, we have a little nostalgic scene. We see Luke. He brings up his old X-wing out of the ocean that somehow still functions. I don't know what happened, but his X-wing still functions. He pulls it out of the ocean.
That scene, I was just like, that's been sitting there for years. Like,
Right. No,
she has to have to like fix it or something, right? Like, yeah.
No, it is fully operational.
Right.
So he's able to force pull it out of the ocean. He lifts it. She hops in that joint and flies off to Palpatine's planet, leaving coordinates for the rest of the Resistance so that they can get there too and solicit help from all around the galaxy.
Right.
So when Rey gets there, she pulls up on Palpatine, and he's just all happy to see her. He only did try to kill her for her whole existence, but he's happy to see her. He's like, no, you're going to be Empress, and you're going to kill me with your hatred, and then I'm going to embody you, and we're just going to rule the galaxy, which in a creepy manner. So he just wanted to embody his granddaughter.
Well, okay, because when I saw it, there's apparently like this like canon thing that the Sith basically were doing everything, not necessarily for Palpatine to complete it all. They were just passing on their entire intention was to destroy the Jedi.
Right.
So Palpatine was just the one who ended up doing it. So the way I kind of saw that scene, he kept mentioning that, all the Sith are with me. I feel that it was more like the will of the Sith in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And that when he said that he was going to embody her, it was going to be more like his will that was going to embody her rather than I'm actually like possessing her or something.
Man, I don't know. It was some freaky stuff going on in there. I don't know. I need to watch Palpatine. Oh, creepy old man.
What I will say, it was kind of cool to see Palpatine back, because he was a decent villain in the prequels. He was, when he first revealed who he truly was at this point on screen and all that, I was like, it was just a complete like mood change for who his character was in the previous movies and all that. So it was kind of cool seeing him back being Sidious.
Yeah, I feel that.
Up until he freaking lightning rodded the entire.
Wait. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So yeah, Rey's there. The whole entire Resistance is up in the sky. They're trying to destroy all the destroyers. At this point, it's just the Resistance with Poe, who he commanded. They're vastly outnumbered, but they pretty much pulled an Avengers Endgame, because when all hope seemed lost, out of nowhere, Poe heard on his comms, "You're not alone." And pretty much every single ship of just regular people flew out of nowhere, came out of hyperspace, and just started to tag team all these destroyers. Granted, it did work, but why did nobody show up before? What made this so different?
This is when the movie started getting really corny to me. I didn't necessarily enjoy the rest of the movie, per se, it was, I'm not gonna lie, the movie was pretty boring. But the movie just got really corny at the end of it all. And this was when it started getting corny, because, Poe had his whole speech about, this is, I'm sorry, I thought we had a chance, but we're all gonna die. And then Lando just pops in on the speaker, nah, man, I pulled up with the entire crew, everybody's here.
Right.
And not to mention, just aside from the sheer fact that Palpatine's fleet is insane, I don't know how he managed to build that many Star Destroyers.
Nah, it was just all his minions. He had there were so many people that are just willing to go to the depths of the universe to follow him.
But did the Empire even have that many Star Destroyers?
No.
That was an insane amount of Star Destroyers.
Right, he just had so many people ready just to ride for him.
Right, and then and Lando was able to pull up with an entire fleet of his own at this point, which I don't find believable. I get, what he was trying to do with the scene, but that was just so corny. I wasn't feeling that.
Right. I don't know. They just kind of pulled. He did not have enough time to go to all those planets to get all those people. That was major plot.
Right.
So while all this is going on, let's go back into the Emperor and Rey. So Ben Solo, like he hightailed it back over to where the Emperor's planet is, and he's ready to join the fight, but he sees the Knights of Ren. So the Knights of Ren are pretty much piecing him up because, you know, he threw away his lightsaber.
But he decided to walk into the battle with a blaster, you know?
With a blaster, and then gets pieced up by the Knights of Ren. But Rey, in a completely different room, however far away she was, she handed him a lightsaber. No, she handed him the lightsaber. He force pulled it while she was attempting to strike down Palpatine, but she had another. Right. But this is all in her plan for some reason. So he force pulls it, strikes down all the Knights of Ren, like epically. I'm not gonna lie, like it was kind of dope seeing him like just completely demolish the Knights of Ren.
And I want to say this: I'm glad that they finally gave the Knights of Ren some screen time. They didn't really do anything until that scene.
Right.
They were in the movie, but they literally didn't do anything until that scene where they were just fighting him. But the Knights of Ren, like they were hyping them up forever, and they didn't do anything they weren't in the first movie. They weren't even mentioned in the second movie, and they barely did anything in this one.
Right, but it was just nice to see Kylo in a better light. He actually did some damage. He put in that work, and then he pieced up the Knights of Ren, and then went to go meet up with Rey, and then they was both ready to take on the Emperor. But the Emperor, being the Emperor that he is, like literally, like life force drains them both at the same time, and because of the strong bond that they had, it was able to heal him back into somewhat of health. So
I wasn't sure what he was doing with that scene, because when he mentioned their strong bond, I thought he was about to pull a Harry Potter at this point. You know, they were about to pull a Harry Potter, and that the fact that they had a strong bond was about to defeat him. So I wasn't sure where they were going with that. The whole fact about the strong bond was stupid to begin with. But it was just, I was okay with that. Like I was okay with that. It didn't bother me that much, but I was just kind of, this is pretty stupid.
No, it bothered me because the power of friendship literally healed this man.
Right.
So he gets healed, and what's that one jutsu that Sasuke does against Itachi and their like fight, where it's like the Karin? I forget what it was called, but basically, yeah, something like that. Where he basically at that point sucked their life force and then goes on to summon all the lightning in the world and shoot it upward in order to blast all the ships that were in the sky.
Right. So because I was offended about that when he basically just somehow managed to force lightning the entire resistance.
Right.
When he force drained Kylo Ren and Rey, I more like assumed, like I took that to be that he was more or less restoring himself back to how he was in Revenge of the Sith, you know, to that level at this point, or you know, when he was in his prime.
Right. Not
to the point where you can freaking force lightning the entire Resistance fleet with like I don't understand that.
So
I can't comprehend that.
We'll just blame that one on plot. Like he had an insane amount of plot armor and just took out the whole fleet with his lightning. Everybody was about to die, and then Kylo gets up, and then he was like, "Nah." He gets force pushed all the way, like into a deep crevice. Like he was dead. He was pretty much dead. I thought he was dead.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was a pretty cool scene, because he said just as a Skywalker, you know, threw me down that like hole or whatever, I'm gonna do the same to you, which I thought was pretty cool.
Right.
That was a cool line. That was a cool scene. So I'll give that scene a pass. I thought that scene was pretty cool.
Okay, but this is what I have a problem with in this next scene. So, the Emperor is doing this thing with the lightning. Rey stands up, and she's hearing all the voices of the Jedi have passed. Like you hear Yoda, Luke, Mace Windu. Just a whole bunch of Jedi from the past. They're saying that
I hated that scene.
They're with her. They're with her. So she's like, you know what? I got the strength to stand up. So she stands up, whips out her lightsaber. Okay, so
you know what that scene was? Remember in My Hero when Deku hit Homeboy with that Detroit smash? Times a million.
Yeah, when all the past users of One for All.
That's what Rey did.
To him. Yeah. She summoned the power of One for All. Yeah, One for All, and then picked up her lightsaber and stood against the Emperor, who tried to force lightning her, which actually gave all the fleet an opportunity to escape from the Force Lightning and pretty much take out all the Star Destroyers. So they're taking out the Star Destroyers, and you know what's more powerful than Force Lightning? 2 lightsabers.
Right.
So she was able to beat Palpatine with 2 lightsabers. That was the weakness.
Right. And, okay, because Mace Windu did the same thing. He deflected his Force Lightning, and you're saying that.
Yeah, you're telling me that all Mace Windu had to do was have 2 lightsabers, and he would have won.
Right.
Bruh.
Just force grab one of the Kid Fisto's lightsabers. Your lane over there. That's all you had to do to win.
So through the power of friendship and 2 lightsabers, Rey was able to overcome the Emperor, finally destroy him. Finn was up on one of the main Star Destroyers. He was able to take that out so that the rest of the fleet couldn't navigate towards any other system, and everything blows up. And not only
what I will say is, one thing I didn't like about this movie is finally they gave Finn some character development. He had a little bit in the first movie. He had absolutely none in the second movie, but he finally had some character development. He finally did something that was worthwhile in this movie, and I will give him that. They finally gave him some character development.
Yeah, I like that he was ready to die. He was like, you know what, this is the final battle. This all means nothing. So all we gotta do is pretty much take this out, and then we win. So he does that with his new side chick or whatever, because he is still really down for Rey. I'm not gonna give that up. So as all this is going on, Rey pretty much drops to the floor and she's dead, like she dies.
Right, she dies.
Because oh my god, if everybody from the Force is with her, how could she just die from just using 2 lightsabers to deflect the blast?
She didn't really do anything.
She didn't do anything, and then all of a sudden she's dead. And
I just kind of took that as the fact that Palpatine drained her life force or something, but she really didn't do anything. She just deflected, some Force Lightning. Yoda did. I don't know. Yeah, Yoda didn't. Did he do that?
Yeah, he did it. He used his hands.
Yeah, he used his hands. Because I don't think he'd use his lightsaber. He just used his hands in Attack of the Clones. Mace Windu did it. Everyone can do that except for her, apparently. She just dies after that.
Yeah, she drops to the floor. But it's not over, because here comes Kylo. How did he survive that fall? I have no idea. But he comes out of the trenches. Side note,
apparently he was that close to the top to be able to climb out at that moment,
Right.
He didn't climb out during any of the other scenes. He couldn't pop up to help her fight Palpatine when he was Force Lightning, but he managed to pop up at that second.
Right. And he just pops up, he grabs Rey's body, and pretty much Force Jesus is her. So now she's alive. She wakes up, says Ben, and then kisses him.
So here's my problem with that. They were enemies the entire thing. I get they have this bond through the Force and all that, but how does that equate to a romance? If anything, I just assumed that she would hug him, that she just would thank him for that by hugging him or something.
Nah, she straight tongued him down.
Yeah. And another thing with this is that people always hate on the fact that Padme is 9 years older than Anakin. Kylo Ren is 30. She's 20 something. She's barely 20, 19 or 20. People always hate on the Anakin and Padme relationship or whatever, because they're 9 years apart or whatever. But it's the same thing with this. And this isn't even a believable relationship. There was no development between those two.
You know, the H doesn't bother me. What bothers me is they were literally enemies. She hated this guy for the whole freaking movie.
Either. But it's just like, it's kind of hypocritical, you know, for the people haters. That they're okay with this, but they're gonna hate on Padme.
I am not okay with it.
Yeah. What bothers me is the fact that they had no character development. They were enemies. She hated him. He killed Han Solo and all that. She hated him for that. I get that, you know, they had their, you know, force talks at this point. So they could have developed a quote-unquote bond. And the fact that he redeemed himself and all that. But I assume that they were more just friends than anything after that. You know, that I don't understand how that equates to a romance. And, you know, why she kisses him.
I have no idea. That's when I was ready to walk out of the movie theater at that point. Like, I was so upset. I said, so this is how the movie's gonna end.
Right.
But wait, this is not how the movie ends. So, you know, after everybody's celebrating, no, how does every single Star Destroyer around the world simultaneously blow up?
I did not understand.
Like,
I did not get that.
If I crash my car at my house, your car at your house is not going to blow up.
Right.
We live 2 cities apart.
Right.
So, I don't know how every single Star Destroyer blows up, but it blows up. So, everybody's celebrating. Everybody does their thing. Everybody's hugging and kissing. And then we get Rey. She's on Tatooine. And what does she do? She buries Luke
Anakin and
no, it was Luke and Leia.
Well, that was Anakin's answer.
No, it became Luke's or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, she buries the lightsabers in some sand on Tatooine at Luke's old house, and then some lady comes up. She said, "Nobody's been here for a while. What's your name?" She says her name is Rey, and then she looks off into the distance, sees Luke and Leia's Force Ghost, and then she calls herself Rey Skywalker. She is a Palpatine.
So, they really should have just ended the movie with the celebration. That would have been fine, because that's basically how the Phantom Menace ended, you know? They had like a little bit of scene with Anakin talking to Obi-Wan, who's going to train me. The movie ended.
No, that was Return of the Jedi.
No, I'm saying in the Phantom Menace when like Anakin was asking Obi-Wan, you know, who's going to train me and all that.
Oh yeah. I got you.
And in Return of the Jedi too, you know, they celebrated, and that was the end of it. Luke Skywalker saw the Force Ghost of Yoda, Anakin, and Obi-Wan, and that was literally the end of the movie.
Right.
They really should have just ended the movie with that celebration scene. That would have been fine at the end. What really hammered the nail in the coffin for this movie was that whole I'm Rey Skywalker scene. I guess, you know, that she was trained by the Skywalkers and all that, so she kind of like adopted the name, but it was unnecessary and kind of corny at this point. It's better than what the spoilers said, because the spoilers were saying that like she's apparently gonna like say that somebody asked her like, "Are you a Jedi?" and she's like, "No, I'm a Skywalker," as if she's gonna use that term to replace the Jedi or something. So it's better than that spoiler leak, but it was unnecessary. That didn't need to actually happen. They should have ended the movie at that celebration scene and just called it.
Right. So yeah, I guess everybody's dead. Rey is a Skywalker, and that is how this trilogy comes to a close.
Yep.
And so does our review. To sort of finish things out, if you have to rate this movie out of 10 Noctis, what you rating this?
I will give it a 5 because I didn't hate the movie. I definitely did not love it, but I did not hate the movie. I hated The Last Jedi. I did not like The Last Jedi at all. I think this is probably the best out of the sequels. This or The Force Awakens. But the movie had some of its good points. Finn had some character development. They fixed some of the issues with Episode 8. The pacing, I thought the pacing would be an issue, but it wasn't that much. They finally gave a reason for why Rey was powerful, because she was Palpatine, which is a stupid reason, but it's still a reason nonetheless. And I'm glad that they finally mentioned the Sith. You know, because that's what they just kept calling themselves dark side users. But I'm glad they finally brought back the Sith. So the movie had some good points. It was, overall I'd give it a 5. It wasn't the worst movie, but it was definitely not the best. It definitely was not a good movie.
No, this movie was a 3 out of 10. A solid 3 out of 10. I did not like this movie. You know, I'm not gonna seem like I'm just hating on it, because there was some parts that I did enjoy, but it was a solid 3 out of 10. It was a 3 out of 10 being a Star Wars movie. If I had to rate it as just a regular movie that, you know, I'm just going to see, it was a solid 7.
I feel it. I mean, the movie was fun, but it was high-key boring. Like, I was bored most of the movie. I was like, there was a couple of scenes I almost fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
The movie was pretty boring.
Yeah, I feel that it was funny at times. I did appreciate that. There were a couple of dope battles. I liked the character development in Finn. I like just how they wrapped up everything into one nutshell. They pretty much concluded all the movies really well, but there was too many plot holes. It was very lackluster. Stuff did not make sense. 3 out of 10.
Plot did not make sense at all.
3 out of 10.
So, what would your Star Wars rating, like your ranking system be?
My ranking system. I'm going to get a lot of hate for, and these are all going to be in order from best to worst. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. Attack of the Clones is my all-time favorite. After that, we're gonna have to lob it to A New Hope. A New Hope. What's my third one? Revenge of the Sith. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and this one was by far my least favorite out of all of them. So, Rise of the Skywalker has to go at the very, very last.
For me, Revenge of the Sith is my all-time favorite Star Wars movie. I feel that's like, in a way, like a perfect Star Wars movie. I know people are gonna hate me for saying that, but I'd say Revenge of the Sith is my favorite.
Okay.
After that, Empire, Return of the Jedi, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, A New Hope. I'm gonna just throw the side movies in there. I'm gonna say Rogue One.
Okay.
Han Solo and The Rise of Skywalker are interchangeable for me. And then The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
Alright, well there you have it. That was our Star Wars review, and that's also our ranking of all the Star Wars movie in our own opinion. So that's pretty much going to do it for our podcast. It was a short one, but we wanted to get this out, do our little review for this Star Wars movie. And yeah, Noctis, you out the floor. You got any closing statements for our 5th installment of the Local Degenerate podcast?
Yeah, I went in with this movie with low expectations, but I still did not expect to be this disappointed. And R.I.P. Juice WRLD.
All right, and for me, my closing statements: Star Wars do better. That's all I have to say. Although The Mandalorian is killing it, I'm not all the way caught up, but from what I have seen.
Mandalorian is fire.
If this is a precursor to what else we have in store to look forward to from Star Wars, I am thoroughly happy. But yeah,
Mandalorian is fire.
And on that note, I guess we'll go ahead and close out this episode. Don't forget to follow us on Anchor. We'll throw this up on YouTube, so go ahead if you're watching and or listening to the YouTube version, go ahead and give us a little subscribe. We will be posting pretty much every week. We're going to get on a better schedule of posting our podcast and little clips and segments from that. So, yeah, this has been the Local Degenerate Podcast. Bye.